You know, hundreds of different events happen in the world every single day. How about we check the brightest moments of 2019? January. On January 3, 2019, China's Chang'e 4 robotic mission landed on the moon's far side for the first time ever. Its goal was to explore the terrain of the previously mysterious dark side. People in East Asia and North Pacific could observe a partial solar eclipse on January 6th. And on January 21st, there was the last total solar eclipse till May 2021. It was referred to as a wolf supermoon. Wolf, because it was the first full moon in a calendar year, and super, because it was closer to Earth and bigger than usual. Scientists found out that human bones might be loaded with a network of tiny tunnels. This system is likely to help blood cells, produced in bones, quickly get into the blood circulation. If there are holes, there should also be capillaries, miniature blood vessels. Kiyoshi Kimura, a Japanese sushi restaurant owner, also known as the Tuna King, paid more than $3 million for a ginormous bluefin tuna at Tokyo's Toyosha Fish Market. Man, that's some expensive fish you're about to slice up. January 2019 was the hottest month in Australia since records began in 1910. Scientists discovered a teeny jello violin inside the human ear. It's a blob of jelly-like substance made up of 97% water. Researchers believe that thanks to this jello, your ear can separate high frequencies from lower ones. February. It was discovered honeybees could add and subtract and understood the idea of zero. A new kangaroo fossil study proved that the animals had learned to hop around 20 million years ago. It was much earlier than scientists had previously thought. Rare black panthers were spotted in Kenya for the first time in 100 years. On February 21st, Japanese spacecraft Hayabusa 2 landed on asteroid Ryugu to collect rock samples. A 30 million-page digital library called the Lunar Library was launched toward the moon. Its main purpose is to preserve the records of human civilization for billions of years. March. The Dragon vehicle, launched by SpaceX, successfully docked with the International Space Station. It was a demonstration run. The mission was only carrying a test dummy and a 400-pound payload. Google employee Emma Haruka Iwo broke the Guinness World Record for calculating pi to the most number of digits, a staggering 31.4 trillion. She achieved her childhood dream with the help of Google Cloud. Me? I like strawberry pie. The superbloom of poppies in Walker Canyon in Southern California was visible from space. NASA aircraft snapped a picture of the phenomenon that happened after heavy rainfall. Bugatti announced its new car. It's the most expensive vehicle ever sold. La Voiture Noire cost about $19 million and was the only one to be built. The Vessel, a honeycomb-like visitor attraction, was open on March 15th in New York City. The 16-story elaborate construction consists of 80 landings, 154 flights of stairs, and 2,500 steps. Queen Elizabeth II shared her first Instagram post ever. It happened during her visit to London's Science Museum. It was an image of a letter between Prince Albert and mathematician and inventor Charles Babbage. Armando, a champion racing pigeon nicknamed the Lewis Hamilton of pigeons, was sold for $1.42 million in Belgium. April. The first ever image of a black hole appeared in April. It took 2 years to piece the image together. 8 radio observatories on 4 continents had been watching a black hole in Messier 87, a big galaxy 55 million light-years away from Earth. Wolves returned to the Netherlands after they hadn't been seen in the country for 140 years. The biggest plane in the world set off on its first trip in the Mojave Desert in California. The aircraft is designed to launch rockets into orbit and can carry a 250-ton payload. After growing several human taste cells in a lab, scientists discovered they had an ability to smell. In each of these cells, there were a few molecules similar to those found in cells in the human nose. That's why taste cells reacted to odor molecules just like smell cells did. Scientific journal Nature Geoscience reported that methane, a gas usually produced by living things, you and me and cows for example, was found on Mars in 2013. It was detected by European Space Agency's Mars Express spacecraft in Gale Crater near the Martian equator. Aston Martin, a British sports car manufacturer, presented its first electric car, the Rapide E, at the Shanghai Auto Show. This model can reach the speed of up to 155 miles per hour and cost $326,000. Scientists discovered a previously unknown human species in a cave in Luzon Island in the Philippines. 3-foot-tall Homo luzonensis lived 50,000 to 60,000 years ago. No word if the lumpia found with him was still fresh. Just kidding. NASA's InSight lander, whose goal was to study the interior of Mars, detected the first Marsquake ever. After years of test flights, the first home delivery drone service was launched in Australia. An American diver made the deepest submarine dive ever to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. The submersible, designed to withstand immense pressures, reached the depth of nearly 7 miles. The first ever albino panda caught on camera was spotted at a nature preserve in China. People had seen brown and white pandas in the northwest part of the country before, but never all white ones. May. A stainless steel sculpture, Rabbit, created in 1986 by the artist Jeff Koons, was sold at auction for a whopping $91.1 million. It became the world's most expensive work sold at auction by a living artist. Scientists announced that they had evidence that early humans had lived at extreme altitudes in Tibet about 160,000 years ago. They belonged to the ancient Denisovan species. French adventurer Jean-Jacques Savon successfully crossed the Atlantic Ocean in a 10-foot-long barrel-shaped orange capsule. The entire journey lasted 122 days. The man traveled 2,800 miles. I'll bet that was a barrel of fun. Not. A study published in the journal Nature Geoscience claimed the moon kept shrinking. The Earth satellite became 150 feet skinnier than it had been several hundred million years ago. Its insides were still cooling, and this could be triggering moonquakes. China's Chang'e 4 mission found evidence that a giant asteroid had created a massive crater in the moon's far side. The impact was so great, it had cracked the crust and reached the mantle. Cami Rita Sherpa from Nepal set a new record for making it to the top of Mount Everest the most number of times, 24. The supermassive black hole at the center of our home Milky Way galaxy suddenly lit up twice as brightly as usual. It could mean the black hole had swallowed something large, maybe that bluefin tuna. DNA research proved bedbugs were older than humans. At least 115 million years ago, these insects managed to outlive dinosaurs. China unveiled the prototype of a new high-speed train that would float above the track at a speed of 370 miles per hour. Hey, what's your hurry? Astronomers pieced together 7,500 photos taken during 16 years by the Hubble Space Telescope. It resulted in a mosaic of the distant universe. The image consisted of 265,000 visible galaxies. The light from some of them comes from 13.3 billion years ago. June. An island in northern Norway asked to be the world's first time-free zone. The sun doesn't set there for 69 days, from May 18th to July 26th. That's why you can see kids playing soccer at 2 a.m. and adults drinking coffee with friends or painting their houses at 4 a.m. A baseball jersey that belonged to baseball legend Babe Ruth became the most expensive sports memorabilia ever. It was sold at an auction in New York for $5.64 million. Raikoke volcano in the Kuril Islands erupted, sending volcanic gases and ash high up into the atmosphere. The eruption was so massive that it was spotted by the astronauts on the International Space Station. NASA launched the Deep Space Atomic Clock. The size of a 4-slice toaster, it was designed to keep super accurate time, within 1/10,000,000th of a second. So don't be late. During a week-long heat wave in Europe, The highest ever June temperatures were recorded in Poland, about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, Germany, around 101, and the Czech Republic, 102. 2 days later, the highest ever temperature was recorded in southern France. It reached almost 115 degrees. The first solar sailing spacecraft, propelled solely by sunlight, was launched into space on the same rocket as the atomic clock. Well, it's time out. A new study stated that if people suddenly started to be born with 6 fingers, the brain would easily adapt to it. People with polydactyly, extra fingers or toes, have no problems controlling additional fingers and can use each of them independently. July. A 12th century chess piece from a sand dune on the island of Lewis was sold at an auction in London for almost $900,000. People in Chile and Argentina observed a total solar eclipse. Lights out. A floating mass of seaweed that stretched from West Africa to the Gulf of Mexico became the world's biggest seaweed bloom. Record temperatures were registered in Alaska. The temperature there reached 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Japan's Hayabusa 2 mission landed on the Ryugu asteroid for the second time to collect more samples. Like double dipping, huh? A new study claimed some people could be better at knowing everything than others thanks to their super effectively wired brains. Brain scans proved such individuals had shorter and stronger connections between brain cells. Nope, not me. Asteroid 2019 OK scared scientists by sneaking up on our planet. The rather large rock appeared seemingly out of nowhere and traveled uncomfortably close to Earth, just 45,000 miles away, which is less than 1/5 of the distance to the Moon. A 210,000-year-old skull was found in southern Greece. It's the earliest example of modern humans outside Africa. Kenya launched the largest wind power plant in Africa. The Lake Turkana Wind Power Project consisted of 365 wind turbines and was designed to increase the country's electricity supply by 13%. The highest ever UK temperature was recorded in Cambridge. It was nearly 102 degrees. Detecting a pattern here? August. Scientists discovered a previously unknown organ in the human body. It looks like a mesh-like web of cells inside the skin. These cells cover nerve endings and might be the reason why people can feel pain. A 2-headed baby rattlesnake called Double Dave was found in a forest in New Jersey. NASA confirmed that a mission to Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, would be launched in 2025. A life-size robot called Fedor was launched toward the International Space Station. The robot set off in its space journey in a rocket from Russia's Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The robot was 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighed around 350 pounds. Not the best height-weight ratio. Frenchman Frankie Zapata became the first person ever to cross the English Channel on a jet-powered flyboard. The inventor covered the 22-mile distance in 22 minutes. Ooh, sign me up. Astronomers detected what they thought could be a collision between a neutron star and a black hole for the first time. September. For the first time in more than 360 years, compasses pointed to true north at Greenwich. Our planet has 2 north poles, geographic and magnetic. Most of the time, compasses show the magnetic pole, which shifts because of the Earth's liquid core. An environmental DNA study proved that the Loch Ness Monster couldn't be a giant reptile or an aquatic dinosaur. But researchers discovered the lake was home to tons of eels. That's why they concluded Nessie could be an overgrown eel, even though it's unlikely. Scientists discovered a new dino species in Japan. The bones they analyzed belong to a 26-foot-long animal that lived about 72 million years ago. The duck-billed herbivorous dinosaur was the largest ever found in the country. Scientists found the early evidence of milk consumption in the teeth of prehistoric British farmers. Apparently, people started to drink milk as early as 6,000 years ago. Chocolate milk, came later. Researchers announced they might have discovered the reason why some people are born left-handed. After analyzing 400,000 people, they found 4 genetic regions partially responsible for the handedness. Elon Musk unveiled a new SpaceX spacecraft. Starship was designed to carry cargo and crews to the Moon, Mars, or any other place in the solar system. Then it would land back on Earth perpendicularly. The largest Arctic research expedition ever, the Mosaic expedition, left Norway. The international team from 20 countries had to spend a year in the central Arctic investigating the climate in that region. For the first time ever, astronomers detected water on a planet outside of our solar system. The distant exoplanet K2-18b, whose size and surface gravity are larger than Earth's, has water vapor in its atmosphere. People all over the world celebrated Batman Day, the 80th anniversary of the very first Batman comic. A new airport was opened in Beijing. It's the city's second biggest international airport. Nicknamed Starfish, its terminal building is the world's largest single-structure airport terminal. A ginormous 315 billion-ton iceberg carved from an ice shelf in Antarctica. The giant chunk of ice was named D28. Hey, let's give it its own zip code. October. One of the rare Visayan warty pigs at a Parisian zoo was recorded using tools for the first time ever. The animal picked up a piece of bark in its mouth and started to dig with it. The Nobel Prize in Medicine or Physiology was awarded to 3 physician-scientists for figuring out how cells sense oxygen. The plant, known as Pete the Fern, took its first selfie in London Zoo using the waste energy it had generated. It was enough to power a camera and take the photo. Researchers found out humans could regenerate cartilage, rubber-like stuff around joints. They saw cartilage repair itself most effectively at the ankle, not that well in the knee, and least effectively in the hip. The blob went on display at the Paris Zoological Park. The bright yellow slime mold is neither plant nor animal or fungus. It can move around at a speed of 1.6 inches per hour and heals itself after being divided into 2 parts. The organism can also solve problems, even though it doesn't have a brain. Astronomers found out the universe was expanding 9 times faster than they had predicted. Google researchers claimed they had created the first quantum supercomputer. They said it had taken the computer just 3 minutes to perform calculations the most advanced modern computer would need 10,000 years to solve. The oldest natural pearl in the world was discovered on an island off the capital of the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi. Experts said the pearl was at least 8,000 years old. Yabba dabby doo. NASA's Hubble Space Telescope snapped a clear picture of a comet discovered by an amateur astronomer. 2I Borisov, that's what the comet is called, came from an unknown star system. It was the second interstellar visitor ever noticed in our solar system. Australian airline Qantas completed its non-stop test flight from London to Sydney. Its purpose was to research how such a long journey would affect crew, pilots, and passengers. It took a Boeing 787 Dreamliner more than 19 hours to carry 49 people 11,000 miles away from their departure point. November. Scientists found some evidence that human ancestors might have walked upright as early as yesterday. No, 12 million years ago, not 6 million as previously thought. This theory appeared after researchers had discovered an ancient ape in a Bavarian clay pit in Germany. A new study suggested that ancient snakes used to have hind legs during the first 70 million years of their evolution. Researchers found that people who lived to be 110 years old and more, aka supercentenarians, had more immune cells called T helpers than the average person. These cells are believed to protect people from viruses and other health problems. Mercury passed directly in front of the Sun on November 11th. How rude. Such a transit event only happens 13 to 14 times a century. A tiny book Charlotte Bronte wrote when she was 14 for her toy soldiers was sold at an auction in Paris for over $650,000. A new study claimed the wind speed across Asia, Europe, and North America had risen and become 3 times faster since 2010. December. A new breed of apple with a super long shelf life hit the market in the US. The fruit, called Cosmic Crisp, had taken 20 years to develop. It was cultivated to last for up to a year. North Pole explorers Mike Horn and Borg Ausland completed their 1,120-mile journey on drifting ice in the Arctic darkness. So how could they tell? It's dark. The world's first fully electric commercial aircraft successfully made its test flight in Canada. The E-plane was a 62-year-old seaplane equipped with a new, powerful electric motor. The entire trip lasted 15 minutes. Sydney to London? Not yet. Scientists discovered the earliest fossilized trees ever. 386 million years old, they were found in Cairo, New York. A new study reported archaeologists might have uncovered the oldest figurative artwork in the world. It was a cave painting in Indonesia. Nearly 44,000 years old, it had a hunting scene with animals and people in it. Scientists found the deepest point on land in East Antarctica, under Denman Glacier. The canyon, filled with ice, reached 11,500 feet below sea level. Australia had its hottest day ever. The average temperature across the country reached 104 degrees. People in South and Southeast Asia could see a ring of fire, a ring-shaped solar eclipse. The high-speed Parker Solar Probe discovered a bizarre activity at the edges of the Sun's atmosphere. The probe's data showed mysterious reversals of the solar magnetic field and weird bursts in the solar wind streams. Stay tuned!